Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air shift, almost as if someone's mere presence bends reality around them? Some people don't need to shout. They don't need to demand attention or perform for anyone. They simply speak, and the room listens. Their words hit with weight, precision, and intention, leaving a mark that lingers long after they're gone. It's not just what they say, it's the energy behind it. And when they leave, everything feels different. People remember not only the words spoken, but the way it felt to truly hear them. Contrast that with those who fill every silence with noise, speaking faster, louder, desperately chasing attention, yet when they're gone, nothing remains. Why? Because true power never lives in the volume of your voice, it lives in the gravity of your being. Words only carry real weight when the person behind them has presence. Most people chase attraction through charm, wit, or endless talking, but the Stoics understood a deeper secret. Attraction comes from subtraction. Strip away the fake, the forced, the unnecessary, and what remains is the essence of true magnetism. The person who no longer needs to impress anyone becomes unforgettable. The one who can speak with calm certainty while the world around them clatters in noise becomes magnetic. Stoicism isn't about crafting pretty phrases, it's about speaking truthfully, and truth never needs decoration. Today I'm going to show you 6 Stoic phrases, 6 simple expressions that make people listen, respect, and remember you. Not because you perform or seek validation, but because every word you speak carries intent. Each phrase awakens admiration, commands respect, and fosters a deep emotional connection. This isn't manipulation, it's presence in action. Stick around until the end, because the 6th phrase is the one most people never master. It's the difference between being heard and truly being remembered. Before we dive in, take a moment to hit the like button if you value truth over noise, subscribe if you're ready to speak with purpose instead of performance, and comment the word presence, because that's what today's lesson will help you reclaim: the power to be seen, felt, and remembered without even trying. When most people hear a story, their first instinct is to make it about themselves. Someone says, "I'm learning guitar," and the response is, "Oh, I used to play in college." Someone shares a struggle, and the reply is, "Yeah, that happened to me too." Without realizing it, they hijack the moment, stealing attention from the person who trusted them with a glimpse into their world. That's why genuine connection is so rare. Most listen to reply, but a Stoic listens to understand. When you say, "Tell me more about that," something invisible shifts. The air changes. The other person pauses, surprised. Those 4 simple words are a rare invitation. You're not rushing to talk about yourself. You're giving them space to be fully seen, fully heard. And in a world starving for attention, that is true power. Picking up from the last moment, when you give someone the space to be fully present, something extraordinary begins to happen. You're not just hearing their words, you're allowing them to exist in that moment, completely and without judgment. In a world starved for attention, this kind of presence is a rare form of power. Not the power to dominate, but the power to truly be. Epictetus wisely reminded us, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The Stoics understood that listening is never passive. It's a disciplined act, a quiet form of humility, a way of silently saying, "Right now you matter." Curiosity, when expressed calmly and sincerely, becomes magnetic. It cannot be faked. When you ask, "Tell me more about that," and then fall genuinely silent, not just for a few seconds, but long enough for the words to breathe, the other person feels something indescribable. They feel seen, they feel understood, and in that space, they open up in ways they never do with anyone else. Why? Because most people move through life armored, guarding their thoughts, their pains, their dreams. But your calm, genuine curiosity disarms them. You're not demanding anything, you're not judging, you're simply there. And in today's fast-paced world, being fully present is one of the rarest gifts you can offer. Something subtle yet profound begins to unfold. They start to associate you with comfort, depth, and safety. When the conversation ends, they don't leave thinking, that person was interesting, but rather, I felt interesting when I was with them. That subtle distinction transforms everything. You stop chasing approval and begin radiating authenticity. People will seek you out, not for entertainment or distraction, but for the calm, restorative presence you offer. Because deep listening is in many ways a form of love, and love expressed through attention is unforgettable. Next, resist the urge to fill silences with advice, stories, or demonstrations of knowledge. Instead, ask, listen, and hold space. This isn't about collecting anecdotes, it's about honoring the soul of another human being. Here's the paradox. When you stop trying to impress, people naturally become impressed by you. Stillness carries gravity, presence carries magnetism. But that's only the first step. There's another phrase, just 3 words, that terrifies most people to speak, yet carries immense power. It doesn't charm, it commands respect through truth. I don't know. In a society obsessed with appearances saying this is revolutionary, people crave certainty. They want to appear smart, in control, flawless. They chatter endlessly, often covering insecurities with noise. But beneath the surface, a fragile fear trembles, the fear of being seen as imperfect. And that fear is exactly what saps their strength. The Stoics understood that the pursuit of truth begins with letting go of illusions. To say, I don't know, is not a sign of ignorance. It is clarity, integrity, and liberation from the exhausting need to appear invincible. By admitting you don't know something, you don't lose power, you gain it. People instantly recognize authenticity. Your words suddenly carry weight. Your presence becomes grounded. You stop performing and start being. Socrates built his legacy on a single paradox. I know that I know nothing. He wasn't glorifying ignorance, he was teaching humility as the gateway to mastery. The moment you stop pretending to know, you create space to truly learn. Pretending makes you fragile, like glass. One challenge, one difficult question, and you shatter. But owning your limits makes you unshakable, like stone. No one can expose you because you've already faced the truth yourself. Continuing from the power of humility and presence, let's see how truth transforms the way others respond to you. Watch closely how people shift when you calmly say, I don't know. At first, they're taken aback because in a world full of pretenders, almost no one dares to speak such a raw truth. But then something subtle yet profound happens. They start to trust you. Why? Because if you're honest about what you don't know, they intuitively sense that you're also honest about what you do know. Your words stop sounding like performance, and instead they start ringing with authenticity. Confidence rooted in certainty is fragile. It can crumble the moment reality shifts. But confidence grounded in honesty, that endures. Those 3 simple words, I don't know, disarm arrogance, invite respect, and silently declare, my worth doesn't depend on being right. Oh, paradoxically, the moment you admit what you don't know is the very moment people begin to believe you when you do know. Your calm truthfulness earns their trust. You're no longer driven by ego, but by reality, and in a world obsessed with appearances, truth is magnetic. So the next time someone challenges you, resist the urge to fake it. Let your calm honesty resonate louder than any illusion of control. That is the kind of presence people remember. Not demanding respect, but radiating it effortlessly. And yet, the next lesson goes even deeper. It's not about what you admit, it's about what you recognize in others. True power doesn't come from dominance, it comes from empathy. Not pity, but recognition. When someone shares their pain, most people instinctively reach for a toolbox, advice, comparisons, stories about how they solve something similar. It seems helpful, but it subtly steals their dignity. You position yourself above them and their openness shrinks. A Stoic takes a different path. He resists the urge to fix and instead honors the weight of their experience. It's simple yet profound. 4 words silently communicate, I'm here. I see you. Your feelings are allowed to exist. You are human, not weak for struggling. Presence over performance, respect over rescue. In that stance, something quiet and powerful unfolds. Defenses lower, breath steadies. The nervous system finds rhythm again. People are starved not for advice, but for acknowledgement. They need a mirror before a map. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Discipline inward, gentleness outward. This is not sentimentality, it is strength expressed with precision. You don't minimize their reality with cliches. You don't inflate yourself with solutions they never asked for. That is how you build emotional safety without a single instruction. By giving space without judgment, you make wisdom welcome, not as orders, but as choices. Next time someone opens up, try this. Say it slowly, mean it fully, then remain silent long enough for their truth to breathe. Watch their shoulders drop, their gaze steady, their story deepen. They will leave feeling larger, not smaller. They will never forget who gave them room to be real. Respect is remembered. Presence is addictive. And sometimes the most healing sentence is the one that does not try to heal at all. Building on the power of presence and acknowledgement, there is yet another force, even deeper, that transcends words. This force doesn't rely on speech at all, yet when you master it, the room leans in before you even speak. I'm talking about silence, the space most people fear, but the Stoic learns to embrace. In a world addicted to noise, the person who masters quiet becomes a mystery, and mystery naturally draws attention. Imagine walking into a crowded room, and instead of competing to be heard, you simply exist. People lean in, not because you demanded it, but because stillness itself commands curiosity. When you pause, notice how the world reacts. People scramble to fill the gap, anxious to escape the calm you exude effortlessly. Yet silence is far from emptiness. It is presence made visible. It's an invisible gravity that draws others toward you without a single word. In most conversations, people rush to speak, terrified of the void between thoughts. They believe that volume equals value. But the Stoic knows better. He understands that silence is where meaning is forged, where weight and depth are born. As Seneca once wrote, silence is a lesson learned from the many sufferings of life. Those who have suffered deeply no longer fear stillness. They've faced it, found peace in it, and that peace radiates naturally. It unsettles the shallow and attracts the sincere. Watch carefully. When a man comfortable with silence enters a room, voices lower and eyes turn toward him. Every pause makes his words rare, and rarity is what gives value. The pause before your answer tells the world you do not speak to perform, you speak to reveal. That deliberate stillness builds anticipation, giving your truth room to breathe. A simple thought delivered after such calm transforms into something sacred. When you stop fearing silence, your voice becomes unforgettable, not because it shouts, but because it creates space. You are no longer trying to fill the room, you become the room itself. Here's the paradox. Silence communicates more about your character than any speech ever could. It signals that you are not desperate to be understood because you already understand yourself. It shows mastery, not over others, but over your own inner storms. That is what truly commands respect, serenity in a world trembling for validation. Practice the Stoic pause. Before you respond, breathe. Let the stillness stretch long enough for others to wonder what truth you are about to reveal. In that moment, they are fully present with you, and presence, when deeply felt, becomes reverence. And when silence finally breaks, what words could possibly match its weight? The answer lies in 3 simple words that most people never say sincerely. I appreciate you. Not for the tasks they've completed, not for favors or checkboxes ticked, but for who they are when no one is keeping score. Notice the difference. Thank you is transactional. It acknowledges an action and closes a loop. I appreciate you is transformational. It recognizes essence, strengthens bonds and opens doors. Gratitude acknowledges what people do. Appreciation acknowledges who they are. And essence is exactly what humans are starving to have seen. Too often, the world treats people like functions, producers at work, providers at home, profiles online. Effort becomes currency. Good job, nice work, thanks for doing that. But recognition of essence, that is rare and it leaves a mark. Building on the profound impact of acknowledging essence, there is yet another layer to presence and influence, appreciation paired with boundaries. Words like good job or thank you are useful, but thin, they barely scratch the surface. What truly awakens devotion in others isn't applause for performance, it's reverence for character. When you look someone in the eye and say slowly, I appreciate you, you are conveying something far deeper than recognition of a single act. You are saying, I see the pattern beneath your actions, your reliability when chaos erupts, your kindness when no one is watching, your steadiness when others falter. It's not about what they did today, it's about the person they continuously choose to be. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that each morning is a privilege to breathe, to think, to love. Appreciation is how you pass that privilege forward. When you acknowledge someone sincerely, you allow them to breathe easier, think more clearly, feel seen, and recognize their value. You love not as sentiment, but as attention that illuminates the good inherent in someone's nature. Use this phrase sparingly, with sincerity, and let stillness frame it before and after. Let the silence carry your words so that they land deeply, not just drift past. Say it when a colleague shows quiet consistency, not only when they achieve a flashy win. Say it when a friend shows up repeatedly, not just once. Say it when a partner does the invisible labor that holds life together. Notice the transformation. People stand taller, their voice steadies, and the room feels warmer. They feel less like a tool, more like a soul. And they will never forget the person who created that space for them. Loyalty begins where usefulness ends, and admiration grows where essence is honored. Appreciation is not flattery, it is precision, the courage to witness what is good and to articulate it aloud. Practice it until your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting others toward their best self. Doors will open that skill alone could never unlock. Yet, even appreciation has a shadow. If your yes is given indiscriminately, your words lose power and your presence blurs. To make your recognition matter, to make your love credible, one final word must be mastered, the rarest word of all: no. When used cleanly, it becomes the smallest shield and the strongest. Every yes that betrays your limits chips away at your peace. People may mistake refusal for rejection, cruelty, or ego. It isn't. No is clarity shaped into sound. It communicates, my time is finite, my energy is precious, my priorities are chosen deliberately. The undisciplined say yes to everything and gradually become nothing. Their calendars overflow while their character thins. The disciplined say yes only to the essential and guard it with a clean, unapologetic no. Watch what happens when you speak it calmly, without drama. The inner beggar of approval falls silent. Your posture straightens, your spine aligns. The room recalibrates around your standards. Respect gathers where boundaries are real. Those who secretly sought to exploit you flinch. Those who genuinely value you adjust. Epictetus cautioned, first learn the meaning of what you say, then speak. A Stoic no is precisely that, meaning first, speech second. It is not an excuse, not a performance. It is a decision delivered with composure. You don't justify it, you don't over-explain to soften disappointment. You place your no like a stone on the ground and let it weigh exactly what it weighs. Continuing from the power of a well-placed no, there's a deeper truth. Your yes only carries meaning when your no exists. If you are available to everyone, your presence becomes invisible, like water poured into sand. If you agree to everything, your promises are empty air. But when people recognize that your no is real, Your yes transforms into gold, rare, deliberate, trustworthy. Boundaries do not push people away. They act as filters, revealing who truly deserves to stay in your life. The ones who remain are the ones who respect your time, your energy, and your essence. They stop assuming you will catch everything they drop. They ask instead of demand. They meet you where you are. And paradoxically, your relationships deepen because they are now founded on choice, not obligation. Begin practicing this in small moments, a request that steals your focus. Say, "No, I'm not available," a favor that erodes your priorities. "No, I can't commit to that," a conversation that drains your energy. "No, not today." Short, honest, complete. At first, it will feel like a shock, the tremor of old habits urging you to soften your boundaries, but gradually a quiet strength takes their place. One boundary at a time, you reclaim the life that belongs to you. With firm boundaries, your admiration becomes credible, your silence gains weight, and your empathy becomes untainted. None of it is contaminated by resentment. Speak your no without anger. Speak it without apology. Speak it because your mission is bigger than momentary discomfort. Hold the line now, and what you protect will support you later. Breathe and feel the room lean in. They sense the difference. The person who can say no has finally earned the right to be heard. And now there is one final truth to share, a unifying principle that binds all 6 Stoic phrases into a single transformative way of living. The last piece that makes your presence unforgettable: curiosity, honesty, validation, silence, appreciation, boundaries. These are not tricks. They are reflections of character. Each phrase you've learned is not merely about communication. It's about alignment, about speaking from a place where your words, values, and presence move as one. The Stoics never sought to charm. They sought to clarify. They understood that true attraction isn't about shining brighter. It's about removing the noise that hides your light. Speak less, but mean more. Listen deeper than you talk. Let your silence carry intention and your no carry strength. When you do, the world begins to bend differently around you. People feel your center before they even understand it. In an age dominated by shouting, where validation has replaced conviction and the loudest voices are often the emptiest, you are not here to echo. You are here to resonate. Your power comes not from volume but from alignment. The man who no longer seeks to impress becomes unforgettable. The one who stops chasing attention begins to draw it effortlessly, because authenticity has its own frequency. Those who have lost themselves are naturally drawn to those who have found inner peace. Every phrase we explored is a fragment of that larger truth. Presence is not performance, it is mastery of self. When your words carry weight, your silence carries intention, and your boundaries carry peace, you stop participating in noise. You become signal. You stop being one of many and start being the one they feel. So let this moment be a beginning. Speak slower, listen longer, appreciate deeper, refuse faster, and above all, stand still long enough for your truth to echo. The most magnetic man is not the loudest. He is the most present. If this message resonates with you, comment below. My silence has power. Not for the algorithm, but for you. A declaration that from today forward, your presence will speak louder than your performance. In a world filled with noise, the rarest voice is the one that doesn't need to shout to be heard.